Okay. Hello, I'm Laura Karwon,
I'm Emma Hall.
and our topic is about Smithfield versus Bird within the meat industry. So, a quick intro to the meat industry. It's the global meat industry is worth over $1.3 trillion. 80 billion animals are slaughtered each year for the meat industry, and Asia produces the majority of the meat in the world. The demand for meat keeps growing by the years, causing more environmental damage. And a specific reading of ours that covered um, this agriculture that we're talking about mentioned how, like, even though there's a lot of meat being produced every year and continuously, not it doesn't solve our global hunger. Like there's still people not being fed. And here's a good graph that we grabbed from Statista showing how that grows over time.
There are a bunch of environmental impacts due to the meat industry. One of them is going to be overfishing and degradation of our oceans from industrial activity, and pollution puts the future of our ocean at jeopardy. This questions one's lifestyle and what does that say? And
Daily choices.
okay, daily choices which individuals should decide. Um, I learned about this in a previous class where we talked about overfishing and in connection with Native American tribes and how they take, but they don't take so much as we do with overfishing, where it disrupts the natural environment or like the way of life. Um, if one's switching to a plant-based diet, if one is switching to a plant-based diet, that reduces an individual's annual carbon footprint by up to 2.1 tons with a vegan diet or 1.5 tons for vegetarians. The meat industry produces a large amount of greenhouse gases. Those are growing by the numbers, which has caused like this climate change for us, causing things to get hotter. Things are not as easily livable. Um, it also contributes to pollution through the use of fossil fuels, burning of coal and such like that, releasing that into the environment. That's also releasing those um, greenhouse gases. And then it's also linked to a loss of biodiversity because things aren't mating as they once did. So we're no longer having really an explosion of species within like cows and pigs and stuff like that. And then over 20% of all of our fresh water in the world is used by the meat industry. We have a quote here that says, while the global meat industry provides food and a livelihood for billions of people, it also has significant environmental and health consequences for the planet. And then just right above here is a graphic of meat and then like the industry plants, like what comes out of that to produce it.
Okay, thank you. So what I covered was Smithfields, and I'm gonna give a quick history and background about it. It was founded in 1936 in Smithfield, Virginia, by Josh W. Luter and his son. They are the largest pig and pork producer in the world, with 500 farms in the U.S. They contract with another 2,000 independent farms around the country to raise Smithfield's pig. Their annual revenue is 14.4 billion, and they also have 50,200 employees, and the revenue per employee ratio is $286,852. Moving forward, so when I was studying Smithfields, it was like opening a can of worm, honestly. And I'm gonna focus on a very specific, like their commitments to animal care and the opposite of what they say and claim they do. So I'm just gonna read um on their page it talks about like commitment to animal care. It's on their website. And this is part of their policies as well. They say, and I quote, we pioneer and follow industry best practices to prevent animal disease, ensure a biosecure environment for our animals, and provide safe, comfortable housing through every stage of our animal lives. We're not just producing good food, we're taking good care of our animals. And this is a diagram I took from their website. They show how the process works, like from being a small piglet, impregnating the pigs, and then, they give birth to more pigs, and then the cycle goes on. But they are also placed in different like housing and yeah. So how the process goes, the company owns housing systems that have three components: individual stalls, group pens, and there are two types of group pens: the free access or small group pens, and farrowing stalls for giving birth. So stay in individual stalls for 34 to 42 days after they are bred to allow for individual care and to minimize fighting between animals during this early, high risk stage of their pregnancy. Once confirmed that they are pregnant, then sows are moved to a group pen where they stay for 60 to 75 days. The free access group one housing allows the soul to choose between a common area for lounging and exercise or individual stalls that they can come and go from as they please. And the small group housing provides a common area for lounging and exercise with access to shoulder stalls for feeding close to their due date. And souls are also moved into individual farrowing stalls for approximately 27 days. Um, so that's how their processing goes with like how they are able to produce that much meat in a day or a year and a month. And this is a specific case that I wanted to focus on that kind of exposed Smithville. It went what these advocates did showcase how they kind of go against their own policies and promising about their animal care. In this case, it's called Animal Rights Activists Found Not Guilty After Reducing Pigs from Smithfield Factory Farm. Because in reality, when these two guys went in, it was around October 2022. So it's very recent that two of PXE activists went on the trial for documenting the conditions of Smithfield Circle 4 Farm. Wayne Hussing and Paul Darwin Picklesmere, who filmed themselves taking two sick piglets from Utah Farm in 2017. So it dated all the way go back to 2017. But because it's still ongoing and like still recent, because um animal slavery is like the new thing right now that we face in this country, even though we don't really admit. But they were accused that they were facing burglary and theft charges. If found guilty, they risk a prison sentence for 5 years. And direct DXE is just an acronym for Direct Action Everywhere. They are an activist group founded in 2013 in San Francisco Bay Area. They are an international grassroots network of animals rights activists, and they use disruptive and nonviolent direct action tactics, such as open rescue of animals from factory farms. And this is what they did for the Smithfield case. They rescued these piglets. One is named Lizzie, and the other name is, sorry, Lily. They're still in good hands, and they were able to like recover from the sickness that they were going through. But the trial refers to like the prosecution of two animals advocates who were charged with felony theft and burglary. But the trial ended with a groundbreaking that the verdict were the eight-person jury anonymously acquitted the animal rescuers, stating that they were not guilty. Um, and the issue here is that female pigs endure constant cycles of forced pregnancy. Newborn piglets are taken from their mothers. After just a few weeks, they have their teeth clipped in half, their tails cut off, and their ears mutilated, and the males that have their testicles ripped out,
Oh,
all
that's
without any
horrendous.
painkillers. Okay. And there is a video of this. This is, but the footage is so long that I didn't want to include it. But if you just look up with that topic going on, you will see how big the farm is, their Circle 4 farm, and how like crowded the pigs are inside there. And moving forward for behavior, what have we found is lack of transparency. So they do go against their own policies and procedures. Um, they have scandals, animals, employee slavery. So they mistreat their own animals. They don't really follow their own ethical practices, and they also allow like certain behaviors from inside um, their work field to just pass by. Back in also 2017, 7 and 5, the company also lied to their like overseas workers stationed in Thailand about having prosper employment and opportunities. So, just lying and lack of accountability. Um, but of course, no company wants to expose themselves. Rather, they create policies and statements in place to claim and help protect or justify their behaviors. Um, because it's still recent, and like I say, it was like opening a can of worm. Their fight against Smithfield and direct these advocates is still like it's still fresh, and it's not over for them. They also employ a great number of employees. So due to influence of shutting down Smithfield's food and ending contracts, there has also been layoffs. So recently, it was on the 5th, an article came out by Pork Business. They talk about how they will end contracts with 26 hog farms in Utah to optimize its supply chain for more efficient operations in the face of an industry oversupply of pork, weaker consumer demand, and high feed prices. There was also a release that came out. Shane Smith, their president and CEO of Smithfield, said that our industry and company are experiencing historically challenging hog production market conditions. But these are, after like studying and really digging it, it is clear and it goes without saying that they do value profit over safety. And here on the left, they approximately spend about like 1.4 um, billions in lobbying expenditures.
Okay. I covered the farm Pasture Bird. This is a really small farm in the south of Carolina. It was funded by Paul Grieve in 2015 after he suffered from Lyme disease. I believe he was in the Marines when he got Lyme disease. And this spurred him on to create a healthier poultry brand that prioritizes quality over quantity. Their recent revenue is greater than $5 million. They've definitely grown. I believe it was in 2019 that their revenue was only 1 million at the time. Um, and then here's just a little quote from their website. It says, "On our farms, chickens are actually pasture raised. It's not a trendy label or a marketing gimmick. Every 24 hours, our chickens are moved onto completely fresh pasture to enjoy new grassland, sunshine, bugs, grains, and budding flowers the way nature intended." This is just a little tour of their farm. I'll only play a few seconds of this just for time's sake. Um, Another little quote here is that we're a family farm that believes in the regenerative power of pasture-raised livestock for land and animal and community. The end result is chicken that's rich with old school flavor, nutrient dense, and environmentally responsible. So here's just a little clip of what their farm looks like. Okay, I might skip it. We usually won't take the whole time to just look at this. But basically, this is the outside, this is what the inside looks like. As you can see, these are able to be moved. The chickens obviously have much more space inside. They also have cows now, and they have pigs as well. But chicken is really where they started. Oh my goodness. Okay. They ended up having a merger with Purdue, so Purdue ended up buying them out, which was honestly a rise of concern for a lot of people because of what Pasture Bird preaches about how they take care of their animals. That kind of message doesn't really match what Purdue has here. This is a statement from Purdue's website that says, "We are committed to raising our chickens right here in the USA. Learn more about our farmers, our feed, and our chickens." So, I mean, I was kind of focused on the part there saying raising our chickens right, because what does that mean to them when this was an image of the inside of their farm? So there was lots of controversy within the community. They were bought out in December of 2019. and Purdue's just really not transparent with their customers.
Mm.
So I couldn't really find any behaviors on pasture birds, so I kind of focused more on Purdue, um, and what kind of that can say about pasture bird as a company. So Pastured has spent $90,000 in lobbying expenses for 2023. They only hired two revolvers. They only had two lobbyists in total. Um, on March 15th, Purdue Farmers Inc. agreed to pay a $60.7 million settlement to settle claims of conspiracy to suppression of competition for labor and to lower workers' wages. And then in May of 2020, Purdue gets investigated after reports of migrant children as young as 13 were working overnight shifts cleaning heavy machinery in Salisbury, Maryland. That one was honestly really surprising to me because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I just don't listen to the news enough or something, but I don't really hear much about child child labor anymore. So that was pretty surprising to me, especially since it's quite a big company.
All right. So in conclusion, we have come up with these. For Smithfield, they do a great job with being one of the, U.S. best agriculture employer, but they have too much allegations against their practices and care towards their animals.
And then Pasturebird as a company seems to care more about the quality of their products than that of Smithfield. They were what we considered our better company, just by based off their website. When I chose them, I had no idea that they were partnered with Purdue. It's almost a little bit hidden on the Pasturebird website. Um, but I think they care more about the quality of their products. On their website, they talk a lot about like energy from the soil to the plants to the bugs to the chickens, or like kind of how that process goes through, which is like a real scientific process, saying they care more about the quality. Um, However, with this merger into Purdue, there are questions as if they will still keep up with the quality and care of their products. Are they going to keep the same standards if they're owned by a parent company like Purdue? Like, what is that going to look like in terms and conditions for their company now? And then we have our little questions and answers page. So one of the questions is, why did Pasturebird let Purdue buy them if they are not a good or ethical company? My answer for this question was most likely because they needed a parent company to promote slash fund them. Purdue was already looking to go into the realm of actually pasture raised animals. Um, and so that's part of the reason why they bought them out. They are a smaller company. It's harder to fund things on your own when you are a small company like that. I did find it a little bit strange that of all the companies like that they could have had a purchase with, it was Purdue, especially with Purdue's track record. So that was a bit surprising to me. And then if Purdue is Pasturebird's parent company, can you consider Pasturebird to be an ethical company? I kind of went back on the and forth on this answer just because like I feel like if you're allowing yourself to work with a company like Purdue, that kind of can say something about you. That doesn't necessarily make it unethical though. So now I kind of think that Pasturebird is an ethical company as long as they keep their humane animal practices and don't participate or fund any of the cruelty that Purdue has.
All right. And for me, I put these questions like if anybody's wondering, because Smithfield is like the biggest pork producer. So how many pigs are killed each month and year? I was supposed to just put year, but I'll just for month I found out that 36,000 pigs are actually killed almost every month. And for a year, almost a combination of like 30 million. For Smithfields, they mentioned how 18 million, but it has, like previously, like previous years before 18 million, when they were very prosperous, like they almost hit that 30 million mark of just killing porks, reducing porks. Is Smithfield's an ethical company? They have a productive structure and great scale of policies, but unfortunately, over time, they do practice unethical behaviors and don't keep up with their own policies and care, leaving people questioning their motives. Yeah.
All right, here's our sources slash bibliography pages.
Or
Um,
two.
and thanks for taking your time to listen to us.
Thank you.